Welcome to Talk a Good Game. It's just finished. Manchester City 2, West Ham Utd 1. You might think I sound like I'm in a good mood. That's because I probably am. Gonzo, are you a happy hammer?
No, not even remotely, mate. I've got to say, I'm funny enough. I don't know. There's lots of positives which we'll discuss, but I'm actually in a worse mood than I was after the Everton result. In many respects, I've just looked at the league table, and it's absolutely terrible. And I think I allowed myself to think we'd win, and we haven't. We've lost, so I'm pretty paid off, to be honest.
Oh dear, well, we'll talk about that. I know you said. We'll get into the game first. Before we do that, I just want to point you in a direction of a mobile phone app, which me and Gonzo are good fans of, and that's the One Football app. The link is in the description below. Keep up to date with all your latest West Ham United news and your basic stats as well. Charlie, the first half, let's talk about the first half as a whole. How do you think we did?
Amazingly well, somehow. It reminded me a lot of the City game we won when Bilic first took charge, where we were actually really, really well organised and countered really well. I think if you looked at it, actually, I said this on Twitter, at the end of the first half, I would have argued that we had the better chances. They may have created more, they spent more time in possession, they were putting more dangerous balls in, but they seemed almost so confident that no one was actually trying so hard to get on the end of the balls they were putting into the box, whereas we, although the chances were few and far between, and they were very few and far between, I felt like they were actually much, much better chances than what City created.
Gonzo, Moyes popped into Old Trafford on the way and got a bus from Mourinho and parked it up. Were you impressed with what you saw for the first half until the first 44 minutes of it?
Yeah, I've got no complaints of what he did. I think he had to do what he had to do, and he seemed to have the players playing for him as well. I think our mob, I thought both teams had bought into the hype. So I probably thought that our team had bought into the hype that we were going to play this all-conquering amazing team. And because of that, it made us fearful and it made us organised, and our concentration was there as well. We had a very, very good game plan. Also, I think Man City had bought into the hype that we're probably the worst team in the world. And because of that, I think, like Charlie said, they thought they were just going to stroll through and walk through our defence. And it wasn't as easy as they anticipated, certainly.
I have to agree. I thought they looked quite complacent. I think they were passing the ball by waiting for that defensive error, which we've been quite good at this season. They were waiting for one of our defenders to just give them a chance. It wasn't happening. They were struggling. When we were defending, we had 10 players behind the ball within 20 yards from the goal line. When we went forward, it was the right players who went forward. I thought that was important. It was the players that had pace, that had legs. They went forward, and the slower ones, Obiang, Zabaleta didn't get forward so much on this one. The slower ones sat back and thought, well, we're not going to go forward because we'll get caught out by City's attack. I thought game plan perfectly executed in that first half. Charlie deserved 1-0, and Creswell, his deliveries were pretty poor, but then he whipped one in fantastically. Ogbonna header into the far corner. Deserved 1-0 lead.
Yeah, like I said, I think we created the better chances despite them creating a lot more opportunities. But I won't be lying and say I didn't burst out laughing when the ball actually went in the net. I couldn't quite believe it, to be perfectly honest with you. I think Ogbonna had a better game than he has done, but he still looked a bit shaky at times. And then somehow he popped up the other end and got the goal. I would say deserved, yeah.
Sorry, I lost you both there. But at half-time, we went in 1-0 West Ham United. There was a change in the 42nd minute from when Diafasako had to come on for the injured Cheku Kiati, which could have made a difference. We'll discuss that at the end. The second half, Gonzo, though, I think it was sort of sitting ducks a little bit, weren't we? We were sat back, and I think as West Ham fans, we all knew what was going to come. But their first goal, I think, it was worth talking about. Was it a free kick for you? Delph skinned a couple of people, then he tried to skin Rice, and he went down. Rice was adamant he didn't make contact. The replays on the TV show, there was, to me, I didn't think there was any contact. How did you see it, Gonzo? Was that a free kick or not?
I thought it was initially. Maybe when you look at it, there was a lot less contact in the replay than I thought I had seen straight away. On that instance, no. But I think when you're just inviting that much pressure on you, and I don't blame Moyes for that. I think he used the personnel he did, and it was just unsurprising. They were going to get free kicks at some point. I think it was almost unavoidable. I was quite impressed with Delph actually today. Apart from that, because you expect De Bruyne and all these other guys to be really, really good. But actually, I looked at that and thought Delph was a lot better than I thought. And he did show some dancing feet. He bamboozled quite a few of them with that little run through. I felt, though, he did take a little dive at the end.
Yeah, I thought he took a little dive as well. It was a superb save. We'll talk about the saves after we've gone through the 90 minutes. The ball went wide. Jesus, if that's how you say his name. I'm just going to call him Jesus for the sake of ease. And I know Gonzo's going to call him Jesus as well. Jesus put it in. Otamendi and Rice slid in. 1-1 City. Deserved equaliser, arguably. 68 minutes. Arnautovic come on for Lanzini. Charlie, was this the right or the wrong substitution? I think there was one player everybody was wanting to see come off. Moyes left him on.
Yeah, I think I would have taken off Antonio as well. He just looked tired. And it surprised me because I was shocked that he didn't come off. Everyone seemed to be shocked that he didn't come off. He seemed to be dead. And then a little bit later on, he had that one burst of pace where all of a sudden he flew past literally everyone. I was like, oh, maybe he's just being lazy and not tired. But then again, he went straight back to being tired again. So I think everyone, apart from Moyes, really felt that Antonio was the guy to come off.
Gonzo, you don't want to criticise Moyes for his tactics. That's fair enough. I agree with that. Can you criticise him for this substitution?
Yeah, well, I said before, I think we're going to see this is going to be a feature of his reign. I do think he seems to react slowly for substitutions. And it wasn't just, we had three things. The whole team was tiring. So, number one, Antonio was tired. Number two, as a result of that, he then got himself into a situation where he was holding his shoulder, which has been an ongoing injury for him. And then shortly afterwards, it sort of happened again. He did another run. Number three, he ended up perhaps tweaking his hamstring. So it's not just a case of leaving someone on and hoping for the best. You're dealing with somebody who's already this season is recovering from 2 injuries. I understand it would have been lovely to take the points today, but there are other. He's going to need Antonio. If we're going to stay in this division, he's going to need Antonio at his best and at his fittest. So I think sometimes, particularly his first proper start back for a while, maybe you just take it on the chin and say, you know what, we've had a good 60 minutes, 65 minutes, wrap him in cotton wool, off you go and have an early bath, and that he should have done.
Yeah, Jesus made another fantastic save. I mean, Charlie, this is something I've wrote it down about 6 or 7 times on my notes. Fantastic save, superb save, great save. Just how Joe Hart's probably lost his shirt, would you say?
Personally, I would. I think Adrian before has had criticisms that he makes saves look a bit too dramatic when they don't need to, and there was certainly 1 or 2 cases in this game where there was the Sane one, which sticks out in my mind, where he sort of boots it almost directly at Adrian and he makes it look as if it's a world-class save. However, as you said, there were maybe 3 or 4 times in a row at one point where he just pulled off amazing save after amazing save after amazing save. And I think the criticism everyone gives of Joe Hart is that if you shoot to his left, it goes in. There was 3 or 4 times by themselves where it was just to his left and he's pulled off a fantastic save there. So for me personally, I would keep Adrian in as number 1.
Yeah, the best bit I thought about Adrian, his best save today was it was offside. Aguero got played through in the first half, and the flag went up. However, by the time the shot had been taken, the whistle didn't go, and Aguero and Adrian were still going for it. That was a world-class save. He was superb today, I thought. 82nd minute though, Gonzo, this was inevitable. We spoke in the preview and we said how City have got world-class players. Funny enough, the 2 players that combined were the 2 players we mentioned the most, despite the fact they probably don't get as much plaudits as the goal scorers. Was this the only difference between the sides, Gonzo? The pass was just pinpoint world-class.
It was, but we were never in a position to make that pass, really. We never had the amount of people forward that we could make that sort of pass or score that sort of goal. If we were going to score, we had to score on the break off from a set play. So maybe if we'd have had, Lanzini on the pitch, things have been different. He might have been able to play that pass, and someone else might have toe poked that in. I mean, let's not forget, of course, that very, very early on in the game, we had an outstretched Antonio almost stuck his foot out and put the ball into the net. I felt the difference came down to fitness in the end. I thought the tactics probably nullified their brilliance, if you like, and they are a brilliant team. I thought our defending, and you mentioned Adrian, there are a lot of heroes there today for West Ham. I thought that nullified that. I felt if they'd have tried to put that move on in the 10th minute, the way they scored their second goal, that wouldn't have been a goal. We would have been a little bit sharper in and around. I just felt we were absolutely knackered. Nobody's fault when you're defending for that long and you don't have the ball. I don't know what the possession stats were, but I imagine Man City had 70% of the ball or whatever it would have been. You're just going to be knackered, and we were.
Charlie, one word. Do you consider that goal for City to be world class?
Yes, undoubtedly.
Is that a compliment, Charlie, that that's what it took in order for City to go on and win the game?
Yeah, I think it is. I think if you look at the way De Bruyne plays that ball, it's almost nonchalant. He almost just looks up, sees exactly where the ball is, and just pings it into the perfect space. David Silva, being someone who can find a pass, knows where space should be created, and then makes the space. It's two world-class players who are both like unbelievably good, combining brilliantly to put it in. I think Declan Rice is unfortunate in the fact that people might make the argument that he made two mistakes which led to two goals, but I think any defenders would get caught out by those two things, and he can't be blamed for either of them because they're both absolutely brilliant.
Sacco missed a glorious chance late on for West Ham, though. Good play by Arnautovic down the right-hand side. Shrug off Mangala, cut it back 2 minutes, just went wide. Full time, Manchester City 2, West Ham 1. Charlie, Gonzo said at the start he was a bit pissed off, or he wasn't too happy. To be honest, I'm quite happy. How are you feeling after that? We got beat 2-1.
I'm very, very happy. Like Gonzo said, unfortunately, the reality of the situation is that we are in very deep trouble. And when you look at the table and the points that we need, it's going to be very, very difficult for us going forward. However, before today, I was unbelievably concerned about relegation. I was figuring out points tallies and how many points we need here and there and all the other thing. Whereas now I'm looking at it and saying, do you know what? Actually, I'm looking at the games against Arsenal and Chelsea and thinking we could pick up a point or more there. I'm looking at the games against Stoke and people are thinking all of a sudden we can go to these places and get wins. So I'm way less concerned than I was, and I'm very, very happy. But it is the reality of the situation, and that's quite unfortunate.
The two concerns I've got from this game, one of them is the substitutions from David Moyes. We've seen it in other games. We've seen it again today. Antonio was blowing out his arse. Everyone could see it, in my opinion, but for some reason, I get why he put Arnautovic on, a big, strong lad that can get past players, that can go forward and hold the ball. That's what we needed. We needed the ball to stick when we were getting out. I get why he put him on. I kind of get why he took Lanzini off. However, he still had another sub. He still had two subs to make at this point. He could have took them both off, put Arnautovic and Ayew on, or even Martinez or something, and got the fresh legs on. But I thought Antonio's, that's one criticism. My other criticism is, as you both have alluded to, we had some good chances today. You missed those chances. That's what's going to get you relegated. The Antonio one in the first half, and then he sort of had another half chance. Lanzini had a shot that was well saved and stuff. Sacco's one at the end. If you miss those chances against a lesser size, that's why you're going to get relegated. Today, for me, this is what I always call, if you've been watching this channel for a while, Gonzo probably could tell you, I would say, these are bonus points. These are bonus points. When you sit down at the start of the season, you put a line through Man City away and say nothing from there. But if we do this against Stoke and Newcastle, that's what's going to get us relegated. Gonzo, is that concern to you that we're missing these chances, or are you pleased that we're creating them, or are you thinking that against a not so good side, we'll create even more?
Yeah, it's not that there was no positives today. There were many positives. I just think that, you are dealing with an emotional situation here, and we are recording just after the game, and you allow yourself to dream. You go 1-0 up, and you're at half time, and you're 1-0 up, and then even at the start of the second half, and then you allow yourself to think, oh, maybe we can get a draw here, and that's good. And then at the end, you come away with nothing. The league table flashes up. And as many positives as there are, actually, mathematically, we're worse off than we were before the game. That's it. So it's not I can't look at positives and think in future ahead of games that there might be better to come. There might well be. And you're right that these games are bonus points. But they're only bonus points when you look at the league at the start of the season. You start putting a line through those games if you've beaten Brighton, if you've beaten Newcastle, and we're not doing that either. So we need to start picking up some wins now. Am I slightly more confident that we can get away from relegation? Yes, I am. But in this moment, right now, a few minutes after the final whistle, it feels like I've had the life sucked out. I mean, I also like to say one more thing. If anyone from West Ham watches these games at all, can somebody get Fernandes some new studs? Please, nick his boots, take his boots off him, and screw some new studs in them, because he's just falling over all over the place. I thought he did all right, to be fair, but he just keeps falling over. They're not gripping the turf.
Charlie, don't give me a man match. What players did anyone concern you out there today? But also, what players impressed you?
Chiaki continues to be just a big old concern, dude. I mean, at one point, Obiang played like a 40-yard ball with his weak foot off balance while being pressurized by Man City's defense more accurately than Chiaki did with his strong foot about 5 yards ahead of him. So he continues to be a concern. And when I looked at some of the heat maps as well, he seemed to be a bit all over the shop. I don't particularly know what the hell he was doing. apart from, Cresswell did next to nothing. He put in the cross for the goal, obviously, but defensively, I didn't really see much of him. I think maybe as playing as an extra centre back as opposed to being a left back, maybe that's why. But I didn't really see anything of him. But there were a lot of people out there who I think deserve a hell of a lot of praise for their performances today.
Gonzo, what about yourself? Same questions.
Well, Chiesa, I mean, particularly after the first 5 minutes, I thought, what is going on with him? But then he put that header over, he looks dangerous. I mean, Chiesa can either lose you the game or win you the game sometimes with a header. I think that's that conundrum. And I think perhaps manager sees energy and think, well, hold on, he is good. And he did win some defensive headers as well. So he was in there for that. I thought Obiang was much improved. I've got to say that. But I thought there were a lot of people today. Obviously, we'll leave Chiesa out of it because obviously he went off injured as well. I think there were a lot of, in terms of endeavour and fight, I think we had a lot of 7 out of 10s in our team today. I think there's a lot of people who can take a lot of encouragement and credit. And for myself, the standout, the 2 players that stood out. Actually, I thought Fernandes did well, apart from slipping over. I thought he played a different role. We saw a little bit more from him today. A standout was Adrian and Masuaku for me today.
I think everyone played well. Charlie, to go against the grain with you and Cresswell, I know you said you didn't see him. I don't think he did anything wrong, though. So while he didn't do anything right, I don't think he did anything wrong. So for that, I think everyone was a 7 out of 10 today. I thought Chiari did okay. I think actually why I mentioned Chiari going off as a sub, I think he's a big part of David Moyes' game plan. He is the legs to go from your third to the final third. He is the legs. He's the extra support. And when you take him off, he then puts Sacco on, and Antonio goes into it. He has to shuffle about 3 or 4 people around the pitch for that one sub. Do we have anyone in the squad that he should have on that bench to sort of, in case this happens? He probably should. It might be a younger player. He should prepare for it, though, because if Chiari is going to play such a big role, you need to have a plan B. And I don't think that plan B should be put Sacco or move Antonio, get someone into Chiari's position. That should not be the plan B. I think there should be more of a direct correlation. However, Moyes was down to the bare bones of his squad today. We've got lots of players injured. There was only about 13 senior players or something. Arnautovic and Ayew and Sacco were the only other 3. So he had 14 senior players, what Trot on the bench as well, and Ben Johnson, who half the West Ham fan base was Googling before the game to see who he was and stuff. But I'm really positive, guys. I actually think there's enough there to take from this. But my only concern, what it is, this will work for the next 2 games, but when we come up against Stoke and Newcastle, you can't play like that because you've got to then go on the offensive. And can we go on the offensive? The one player I'm going to criticise is Lanzini. I still don't see how he fits into how David Moyes wants to play. I still don't. When he came off, I thought that's fine if Antonio wasn't blowing out his arse, but I felt like his role's a bit nitty-bitty so far. I think this whole long ball and run, I'm just struggle. But Charlie, what's your final thoughts on the game, etc.?
I'm very, very happy that we finally seem to look organised. We seem to want, and actually, do you know what? Organisation, all that is fine. We saw that at times under Bilic as well, but it was the desire. There were times at one point during that game where I saw 3 or 4 people just lobbing themselves in front of balls to try and get the ball off City, and that's the sort of thing we've been missing. It's not. At times we've been organised, but like the desire has been what was missing. And when someone makes a run, they don't track it. When someone does this or that, whatever. The players actually put in a shift today, and there are very few, like I said, that I could actually begin to criticise and say maybe he didn't put in a shift that I would have wanted. Even Chiarte, running about like a headless chicken, I don't particularly think he's doing anything, but he's putting in the effort. I think everyone on that pitch was really trying hard, including Arnautovic and people like that. So if we can continue that with some form of organisation against Chelsea, against Arsenal, then we're going to come away with points, and that's a huge, huge positive.
Gonzo, you've mentioned a few times on previous shows and in Cups of Tea we have, which we'll have our next one either Monday night or Tuesday night, hopefully. Keep your eyes out on the forum and social media. Gonzo, you keep saying Moyes likes to buy dogs of war. Did you see a little bit of that today, and what's your final thoughts?
Oh, yeah, and I think that's what you'll get, and I'm sure he will look at players, but sometimes that can go again. Listen, the transfer window can't come quickly enough. He might not have been any of our choices, mine included, but we need him to get the players that he wants to play system. He's not going to turn into Pep Guardiola. We're not going to get that. So if he's looking at our squad and finding there's holes in it, then he needs to go out and needs to buy them. We need to identify him, and hopefully his relation with Tony Henry will enable that to happen. what I do worry about is until we get to that point, and the point that I said it can't come quickly enough, is that we are going to play these other teams in Arsenal and Chelsea. And I just feel today that if he'd have had Andy Carroll fit and available, he would have used him. And if we'd have had Andy Carroll today, I don't think we'd have even had the outlet. I really don't. I think you'd have seen Andy Carroll actually in our box, heading it away. And I don't think we'd have had any centre forward at all, and certainly no pace on the break. So that worries me. I don't want to wish a West Ham player injured, but we need Antonio to be fit. And actually, in terms of him playing that, we need Antonio leading that role, because for the reasons that you said earlier, we were actually worse when Kiate went off and Sacco came on. It did destroy that a little bit.
Well, that's 4 games under Moyes now. What I will say is we've saw 2 good performances, 2 crap ones. But as Gonzo alluded to at the start of the show, we've only got 1 point out of the 4 games. So it's all very good having 2 good performances. But when you only get 1 point out of it, it's not ideal. But today I thought there was enough positives. I think the main thing is the players will get a morale boost out of this one, I think. I think this will be probably the first time under Moyes they'll go in and start sort of patting each other in back, saying, you know what, good shift, well played. But this is where Moyes needs to get a bit of balls and keep this team in for the next game. He needs to keep the spine of this team in. At least 9 of those 11 needs to be starting the next game, regardless of who's fit again, at least. But we'll talk about that in the preview. But what I will say is David Moyes, that's the biggest thing David Moyes has contributed to a Manchester United title challenge, which is quite funny considering he was the Man United manager for almost a season. But Charlie, last question, you know what it is? Who's your man of match?
I really, really liked Rice's performance today. I think without him, they could have had a lot more chances than they did. But I can't give it to anyone else but Masuaku. I think he dropped back and defended very well, and then going forward, sprinting forward alongside Antonio, who's probably our best outlook going forward. So it's got to be Masuaku for me.
Gonzo, you gave us 2 options earlier. Who is your number 1?
Yeah, mate. I'm getting that bubbly. I'm getting 2 glasses and I'm pouring half of it in one, half of it in the other. One for Adrian, one for Masuaku, but I'm giving Masuaku a bag of crisps as well, so he just takes it for me.
I'm going to give it to Gonzo's second choice, not to Adrian. Charlie said, rightly so, that Rice saved a few goals. Adrian saved heaps for me. Unfortunately, 2 of those saves that he did that was really impressive came from the offside flag going up already. However, I thought he was fantastic, and well, let's see. Moyes has got the bollocks to keep him in, because if, at the end of the day, Joe Hart's been a bit sceptical. People have been questioning it. Tonight, I think we got some answers from our goalie. But anyway, let us know who you thought was your man of match. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you do. Comment below what you thought. Gonzo's a bit pissed off at the start. I've started to go from happy to a little bit frustrated during the show.
And I've gone the other way.
Yeah, Charlie's been Charlie. So let us know what you think. Come on to our forum at hammerchat.com. And we'll be back Monday or Tuesday night having a cup of tea, discussing everything going on at West Ham United. There's plenty to talk about, and we'll catch you in a bit.